Hello, and welcome to my presentation on my project called the AAPTEL, the Analysis and Action Plan for Teacher Empowerment and Leadership. In today's presentation, we're going to walk through the research that I conducted, the survey data that I obtained, the gap analysis that I prepared, and then a growth plan to address the needs found in the gap analysis. So I'm going to start um, with the best practices that I discovered according to the research that I conducted. I started with looking at building efficacy and empowerment among school staff. The research that I found said that teacher empowerment comes when teachers have a role in the decision-making processes that happen at a school. And that empowerment, when teachers have that empowerment, it builds their efficacy. It builds their self-confidence and their desire to continue to work hard and accomplish new things and try new things at the school. The next research that I looked at was the professional development. Professional development, according to research, should be ongoing and relevant and collaborative. So it should not just be someone standing up at the front of the room and giving information, but those who are participating in the professional development need to be able to communicate with one another. And it should happen beyond just the professional development session or workshop that they attend, but it should continue even beyond that. Professional development should also provide opportunities for teachers to reflect on their teaching practices, that it should not just be a one-time thing, but it should be something that they consider how it could be applied to their teaching practice, and then they're able to revisit that and make adaptations going forward. The next bit of research applies to the recruitment, placement, and mentoring of school staff. The one quote that I found said that experienced teachers are better teachers. And so as schools, we want to recruit and retain those teachers, the best teachers that we can, because the more experienced teachers get, the better teachers they become. And so when hiring new teachers, when recruiting new teachers, schools should be looking for those that want to have this desire to be able to um, grow professionally and to develop, and that mentoring teachers is an important part of retaining them. That according to the research, most teachers, or a large percentage of teachers, actually do not even plan on staying in teaching for more than 5 years. And so if we want to be able to have those experienced teachers that are better teachers, we need to mentor them and help them to grow and develop so that they have a desire to stay within the school and to continue to use their practices at the school. The next area that I researched was looking at the evaluation of school staff. Marzano's research identified that evaluation should have two components. One component is an evaluation on specific metrics where there are certain things that an evaluator is looking for, and it's basically a scale to check off things that are seen or not seen in the classroom. But the other form of evaluation should be growth oriented. And that type of evaluation is actually more important than just the evaluation on specific metrics, because it allows teachers to look at their teaching practice and to be able to grow and adapt and change. And so having that growth oriented evaluation, it should begin in the beginning of the school year, where teachers are evaluated and then they're able to set goals for themselves for growth in specific areas, and then they're able to revisit those goals in future evaluations to see how they are progressing in those areas. And the last area that I researched was on teacher leadership and decision making. Research indicates that principals need to engage teacher leaders to help them with the decision making and professional development. Principals cannot run their school all on their own. They need assistance, and engaging teacher leaders is valuable for them. They should look for those teachers that are respected among the staff, because those respected leaders, if they are helping to make those decisions, then that actually creates better buy-in from other teachers in the school. And when schools use teachers in leadership positions, it fosters collaboration among the school staff. It promotes a positive school culture because the other teachers see um, that the opinions of teachers is important to the school and is valuable for making decisions, and that not all decisions are just being made by those in administration. So after completing this research, the next step was to distribute Whitaker Survey for Empowerment as a School Leader. And here is the survey that I sent to the teachers. It was distributed to 17 teachers, and they were given several days in order to respond. Um, the research shows that, or I'm sorry, 10 teachers responded to the survey, and here are the results. Um, Teachers having input on professional development, of the 10 teachers, half of them said that they did have input, and half of them said that they did not. When it comes to having a role in the school improvement plan, 30% of the teachers felt that they did have a role, while 70% said that they did not. In the areas of setting school-wide policy and developing or managing the school budget, in both of those areas, only 10% of teachers felt that they had input or played a role in those, where 90% of the teachers felt that they did not have a role in that. And then in teachers having a role in the hiring process for new teachers, 40% believe that they did play a role, 60% did not. That's the one area where I was a bit surprised because I know for a fact that when new teachers and teacher assistants are hired, that teachers are involved in that hiring process if it happens on their grade level. Because I do not know who responded to the survey, my thoughts would be that perhaps the teachers who responded that they did not play a role are teachers who simply have not had an opportunity to have new members on their staff because their grade level has been stable and has not had turnover or the opportunities to hire someone new. So after collecting those survey results, I also did 4 walkthrough observations. I observed in a junior kindergarten STEM class, a first grade classroom, a third grade classroom, and a fourth grade classroom, and used Marzano's high yield strategies checklist in order to conduct those observations. From the observations, I found that teachers are um, performing at a high rate inside their classroom, that they are using a variety of teaching strategies, that they are engaging their students, that they are providing valuable feedback, and they are engaging their students in cooperative learning. The only area there were where there was less performance than there than others was the area of homework and practice, and that is, I believe, due to the nature of the timing of the lesson, that only being in the classroom for 15 minutes, it was not during a time of the lesson where homework would have been assigned. So following these two um, bits of data gathered, I then proceeded to prepare a gap analysis in the 5 areas that I researched. So starting with building efficacy and empowerment among staff, from the walkthrough observations, teachers showed that they are empowered in their classrooms. They taught using their individual strengths. They used a variety of teaching methods. However, survey data does show that beyond their classrooms, that teachers don't feel that they are empowered to impact the school. When it comes to professional development, while 50% of the teachers do feel that they play a role in the professional development, research does indicate that it should be ongoing. And a lot of our professional development is simply happens on a one-time basis. Um, However, the professional development workshops are facilitated by teacher leaders, which is an area in the research that says is a strength. When it comes to replacement of recruitment, placement, and mentoring of school staff, the survey indicates that the teachers do not feel that they play a role in the hiring process of new teachers. And through anecdotal conversations with newer teachers at the school, they expressed that their mentorship has been inconsistent, that they receive a lot of assistance when the school year begins, but then as the year continues, they feel like they've just been provided with a lot of information at first, and then there's not as much follow-up to that information, and so it can be overwhelming for them. With evaluation of school staff, current evaluations are more summative than formative. They are evaluations only happen once or twice a year, and they are simply an observation and a report of things that happen in the classroom. And research indicates that there is a gap here because evaluations should take place early in the year and allow teachers to set goals. And finally, in the area of teacher leadership and decision making, the survey data shows that the teachers do not feel that they have a role in the decision making processes that go on in the school. So after gathering all that information, I prepared a growth plan that includes 5 activities that could be adopted in order to address each of these areas. So the first area of the growth plan is to have the teachers um, complete a self-assessment survey. This self-assessment survey would be completed at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the year. It would be an opportunity for teachers to identify their strengths and their areas for growth. This information could then be used as areas that they could be used when looking at evaluations and professional development. This would be the first step in the growth plan so that teachers could start by identifying their strengths and their areas of growth. Administration could also see where teachers feel that they have their needs. The survey would include opportunities for teachers to identify areas where they feel that they could lead, and this would be a great opportunity to identify teacher leaders in the school in order to be able to complete the other activities in the growth plan. Through this assessment survey, it would be conducted 3 times throughout the year: the beginning of the year to identify strengths and areas for growth, at the middle of the year to assess the progress, and then at the end of the year to evaluate how effective the measures were throughout the year. The goal would be to have growth in at least 2 areas on the survey that the teachers have identified where they need to grow, and that they would be able to identify that by the end of the year. The next activity in the growth plan would be to include formative teacher evaluations. As I said previously, most of the evaluations are summative in nature. And so having formative teacher evaluations would address that gap that was identified in the research that Marzano had presented. These teacher evaluations could be conducted by teacher leaders. So they would be peer evaluations, and they would focus on those areas that teachers have identified for growth from their self-assessment survey at the beginning of the year. Observations would occur monthly, and then at the end of each semester, the teacher could sit down with their peer evaluator as well as their administrator to assess their progress and to determine if the areas where they noted where growth was noted that it was needed, if those could be adjusted or if further work was needed in that area to continue on for the second semester. The third part of the growth plan involves having targeted professional development. PLCs would be developed to be facilitated by teacher leaders. And again, these would be focused on those areas of need identified in the self-assessment survey taken at the beginning of the year. These professional development PLCs would occur at least quarterly. And having these PLCs would allow the teachers to have their professional development be collaborative in nature, where the teacher leader could present information regarding the area of growth, but then the teachers would have an opportunity to discuss how they could implement it in their classroom, and then be able to have further conversations at the next meeting of how it's going and adjustments that need to be made or further development that they desire. A fourth activity is instituting a mentorship program at the school. Again, this was an area that new teachers identified as something that was inconsistent. And so developing a mentorship program would allow, again, teacher leaders to be able to help new teachers to with any questions that they may need. There would be monthly scheduled check-ins with the new teacher and the mentor teacher, and it would just be an opportunity for this mentor teacher to have um, someone else on staff to be able to take their questions to, or to ask for advice or bring concerns to. And then to evaluate the effectiveness of this activity, at the end of the year, the new teachers would complete a survey that would provide effectiveness on feedback on the effectiveness of the program, and that feedback could be used then to modify the program if needed going forward. The final activity of the growth plan would be to establish committees for decision making. The survey data showed that many teachers feel that they are not involved in decision-making processes. And so to be able to form committees for things such as school policies, curriculum review and selection, things like that, would allow teachers to be able to have a say in the decisions that are being made at the school. Um, Again, teacher leaders could be identified to lead these committees, and then in their committee meetings, teacher leaders could then take the information that's discussed to administration to be able to be used in helping making those decisions. A goal for this would be to have at least 75% of the teachers to participate in a committee. And these committees would be identified throughout the year when needs came up. And so that would also give teachers the opportunity, if they were not willing to or not able to serve on a committee maybe at the beginning of the year, as other opportunities come up, there would be opportunities throughout the year for them to be able to um, use their skills and be able to provide their input in decisions that are being made at the school. Um, Again, teacher leadership and empowerment is very important. And the more that teachers are put in those roles of leadership, the more empowered they feel, the more that they build their efficacy, and just the better that the school is able to perform. So that is the conclusion of the presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions from here. And also included are the references that I used for my research. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and your attention to this presentation.